Hello and welcome to Rando Tech Info. So today we're talking about the newly released OnePlus 8 and OnePlus 8 Pro. These phones are being pretty well received by reviewers, maybe not as much by the OnePlus faithful who seem to be thinking that these prices are a little bit high. They're definitely high for OnePlus phones, to be sure, but if you compare them to the prices of other 5G flagship phones, they're actually pretty reasonable. So I guess it just depends how you look at it. The Pro is being hailed as OnePlus's first true flagship. It's finally got all the things that other modern flagships have. They didn't seem to cut the corners to save price this time around, which is why the price is a bit higher. This phone starts at $899 for the lower end Pro, and it's $999 for the higher end Pro with the 12 gigs of RAM and the 256 gigs of storage. So it is a bit on the pricey side, especially compared to other OnePlus phones of the past, but you do get the IP rating, you do get the wireless charging, fast wireless charging at that if you have their proprietary phone charging stand. So the Pro looks like it's finally made that leap into true flagship territory, and it is reviewing pretty well. The 8, the base OnePlus 8, seems to be carrying on more of OnePlus's former traditions of, giving you that top quality experience, that close to flagship experience for less money. It's a couple $100 less, starting at $699. It is also a 5G phone, although I will say there's a caveat to both of these phones. The 5G functionality on both is a bit limited unless you get the Verizon version, but you can't get the Pro on Verizon, only the base. We'll get to all that in just a minute. But the bottom line is, they seem like they're good phones. It seems like OnePlus has come out with a quality product again. Whether or not you think they're worth their new price points, obviously that's subjective, and that's completely up to you. At this point in these videos, this is often where I start talking about more detailed specs of these phones. I'm not going to really get into that here. I'll put something on the screen for you to look at to kind of get an idea of both phones, what they offer, but there's going to be so much coverage of these devices, I don't really feel like in this case a detailed breakdown is necessary. If you want to know more about them, there's tons of reviews out there. Reviewers have had their hands on these things for a week or two already, so go out, watch those, and base your decisions from there. So let's get to the reason why you're here, which is, will these phones work across all the carriers, specifically their 3G, 4G, and 5G functionality? The answer is a little bit complicated, so bear with me. I'm also going to be looking at my cheat sheet over here to make sure I give you the proper information on this. The Pro, the OnePlus 8 Pro, will work on all carriers' 3G, 4G, and 5G networks, with the exception of millimeter wave 5G. It will not get the crazy fast millimeter wave 5G, but it will work on the low band 5G, and like I said, across all carriers, your 3G and 4G is covered. So if you buy the Pro, it should work on your carrier, no problem. The lack of millimeter wave, some people may find that surprising. Honestly, at the end of the day, so few people have access to millimeter wave, and nobody has access to millimeter wave, as far as I know, indoors. Millimeter wave 5G still cannot pass through trees, it cannot pass through walls. You need to be outdoors with a clear line of sight to a 5G node to get millimeter wave 5G. So as of right now, and maybe for all time, 5G millimeter wave 5G is not particularly useful. So I don't know that I would worry too much about that. You can't get the Pro version in any carrier store. So the only way to get the Pro version is, as of right now, through OnePlus's own website. They also mentioned in the press event that they're going to have a relationship with Amazon moving forward. I checked this morning, the day after the press event. It was not available on Amazon as of yet. I'm sure it will be sometime in the near future. I don't know if they'll have both versions of the phone, the 8 and the 8 Pro, on Amazon, but you can definitely get the Pro directly through OnePlus, and you can do that starting as of right now. One last thing to note about the Pro, and this goes for the base model as well, it will also utilize mid-band 5G, Sprint's band 41. So if you're on Sprint and you get this phone, you'll get some relatively decent 5G coverage with that. If you're on T-Mobile's 5G, obviously you're getting that low band. They've said, T-Mobile has said, that they're going to try to get Sprint's mid-band 5G working for their customers as soon as it becomes available. That's a quote, and they said that specifically about this device on their website in the question and answer section of the site. I don't know what exactly that means. T-Mobile has said in the past that it is a top priority of theirs right now with the network integration to get that mid-band 5G working for its customers. So hopefully if you're on Sprint or T-Mobile, your 5G coverage, at least in the semi-near future, with this device should be pretty good. So moving on to the base OnePlus 8, we're going to break this down by carriers. So you can buy the base OnePlus 8 on Verizon. It is a different version of the phone, so very similar to the S20. Very similar situation that we saw with that. It's a more expensive version. It's called the UW version. It's $799 instead of $699. What you're paying for with this device is the use of millimeter wave 5G. Whether that matters to you or not, I leave that to you. But if you want to use millimeter wave 5G, the only way to do that is through this version of the phone through Verizon. As far as 3G, 4G networks are concerned, you're covered. It does utilize low-band 5G as well, although Verizon's low-band 5G coverage isn't that great right now. If that's what you're looking for, you probably want to go through T-Mobile and Sprint for that. But if you want that millimeter wave, this is the way you have to go. Like I said, all the other coverages are there and it should work just fine. For the T-Mobile version, as best I can tell, it's the same as the unlocked version. No extra functionality there. You could just get it in the T-Mobile store. If you just want a brick and mortar store to go back to if you have issues with the phone or whatever, that's sometimes not a bad idea. I don't know how good OnePlus's customer service is. I've never actually had to use it. I have a OnePlus 7T. It's worked just fine for me up till now, thank goodness. So, but if you want that extra security of buying in an actual store, that's certainly an option. It should work just fine, obviously, across all 3G, 4G, and low-band 5G networks. So if you get it through T-Mobile, should work just fine. Same price, no issues there. Sprint, obviously, they're merging with T-Mobile, so everything I just said about T-Mobile should also apply to Sprint. Like the Pro version, it will utilize Sprint's mid-band 5G network. So everything I said about the Pro applies to this phone. If you get it, you can't buy it in Sprint stores, I don't believe. But if you buy the unlocked version through OnePlus, it should work on Sprint no problem. And then hopefully over time, as the networks integrate, your coverage will simply improve. As far as AT&T goes, will not be sold in AT&T stores, but it should work on AT&T's networks just fine without the millimeter wave 5G. It'll work just fine on the 3G, 4G, and low-band 5G of AT&T, but that unlocked version will not work on their millimeter wave. So that's all the information I have today about the OnePlus 8 and the OnePlus 8 Pro. If you have any comments about these phones, please put those down in the comments, specifically about the prices of these phones. Do you feel like these prices are fair for what you're getting compared to other 5G flagships, or do you feel like OnePlus has sold out and is now charging just too much for these devices? Let me know. As always, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Rando Tech Info, signing out.